Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for allowing me to speak on my favourite subject. Me, myself alone. Roger assures me that I will have no problems at all in speaking for 5 minutes. His only concern is getting me to stop. So I decided to base my timing the way you drive a car in Malaysia. While the light is green, I will keep going. When it turns to amber, I will go like hell. Content is not a problem, of course. Presentation is. I stand here and look at you. You've all heard this many times before. It probably makes you an extremely difficult audience. My first thoughts was to structure my talk on as if making love. First, a little bit of foreplay, then on to the main body of the event, slowly coming to a climax. But my problem there was how to make it last 5 minutes. So I decided I would start today and work backwards. So now to the body of my speech. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. Yes, like your ex-president Roger and Chris, I was an airline captain. And in fact, we were all in the same company. Chris and Roger joining a month after me. Later on, we did our command course together. So of 8 people on that course, 3 of us now live here in Malaysia. I left about 6 years after Roger retired, and then Chris left about 3 years after myself. My reason for leaving was to sail around the world. I was given an opportunity of one last great adventure. And 5 years after setting out, having left France, I now arrived in Johor last July. We basically have no schedule, and that is what we're sticking to. Time is of the essence. Although some of us looking at us, you might think that at their age, maybe they ought to hurry up a little. So, here I stand, single, living in Candy Hills, a member of Malaysia, my second home. You might well ask, why Malaysia? Well, we'll come to that a little bit later. My greatest achievement, I have to say though, is having 4 daughters. Sadly, 3 live in the UK and 1 lives in France. And their ages range from 30 down to 5. However, they all seem much older than I am. Probably more sensible. But as they say, when you have sons, you worry about your son. When you have daughters, you worry about everybody else's son. As an individual, though, I have little or no artistic ability whatsoever, which has led me possibly to live my life a little bit on the edge. And my body bears testimony to this. I have over 50 stitches in my body, various parts, too many to mention. Another interpretation of this, of course, is that I'm incredibly clumsy, possibly stupid, or a combination of both. In the past, I have jumped out of airplanes, both as a paratrooper in the military, in a free-fall parachute team. I have raced competitively downhill on skis. I was a combat survival instructor, and of course I have sailed 2/3 of the way around the world. Having failed to master Mandarin, Chris and I recently decided to learn Bahasa Indonesia. This, of course, means that we have to visit Indonesia frequently in order to learn the culture and to practice our newfound skills on new and exciting friends. My interests in life are probably narrowed down. So I like bridge, poker, I like to cook, travel, read, films. I have an abiding interest in Chinese furniture and Japanese art. And in my previous life, I spent almost 30 years flying as an airline pilot, accumulating over 18,000 hours of flight time. Before that, I was in the military for 12 years, both as a RAF pilot, a paratrooper, and a member of the Sultan of Oman's Armed Forces. In that period, I also once spent a month in the jungles of Johor at the School of Jungle Warfare, which was interesting but incredibly boring. I joined the Air Force, I was still 18, just about 2 years after I left school. Sorry, I went straight from school, I do apologise. But that's about 2 years after I left school in Singapore. Before I was at school in Singapore, I was at school in Kuala Lumpur, while my parents lived in Penang. This was the year, April 1962 was my first arrival here. I came, I saw, and I fell in love, not with Audrey, because I can vouch for the fact she wasn't here then, but I have loved Asia ever since. In many ways then, my life has come full circle. From being a small baby, just wanting to eat, sleep, drink, and crave attention from loving females, I now found that my life is pretty much just the same. Thank you.